Now we're at the Vinyl Vault part. Hey, studio audience.
How are you? Good to see you, man.
And next up, we have our Vinyl Vault.
Yeah, so Vinyl Vault. Last week, you had a wonderful pick. It was the Kashmir Stage Band.
Yeah, Houston, Texas.
From Houston, Texas. So we're going to start doing this, I guess, every show now, a little Vinyl Vault.
Yeah, maybe.
So this is super duper like special record for me. So it's Captain Fantastic and the Brown Cowboy. And we were talking, they don't really make an albums. This was kind of special because you got the whole.
You got a gatefold.
You got a gatefold, right?
Not enough.
And it had a little booklet that came with it.
Everything's in there.
Everything is. Whoa! I still have mine. So tell everybody what we're looking at. Just break that down for everybody.
You know, it became like you started seeing like Chicago would always have a poster.
Right.
And Elton started having some stuff in his records, but nobody, I don't think it ever did anything like that.
I haven't seen this in so long.
So that is a booklet called Scraps, and it's like photos from the tour and like journal stuff. And there's even a cartoon on the comic page on the back, and it's just basically a tour diary from the band, and it looks like something a concert program you would buy at the show. Like there's that much stuff there, right?
This is nuts.
And then you've got this is all the lyrics from the album along with photos. Look at the young Elton John when he was original
Bluesology, when he was in Bluesology.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
And so you get this with all the lyrics in there, and along with a bunch of super cool illustrations.
That's amazing. Yeah, and the lyrics for me are some of the best that like Bernie ever wrote. This was just such a moment, this album. Everything, all the songs kind of, it's not a concept album, but I think everything on there kind of fit. Yeah. Oh, it's an almost concept album, I think.
I mean, they're working within like a frame without being a slave to the concept. Right?
Sure.
And so this is a real zenith for him, like commercially. Right?
Yeah.
In the debut, right?
Yes. 100. Yes, of course.
It's the first ever _1 debut on the Billboard. I think it sold like 1.5 million records in
1975, right?
3 or 4 days.
And of course, he's an incredible band, and most of these guys were with him like for most of the most important period of Elton, right? So you've got Dave Murray. On guitar, was he bass? He was bass. David Johnstone was bass. I can't remember. I'm getting them confused. The great Nigel Olsson, Ray Cooper. I don't know that Ray was on too many albums, but yeah.
The kooky thing about that band is they played with them through the glory years, and then they would all come back at some point because too good of a gig.
Right.
Too good of a gig.
Yeah. So Davey's still with him, I think, or was the last to be with. What a great guitar player. So the songs are incredible here. I think the hit, obviously, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. That's the thing that just was, you couldn't get away from it on radio. Nope. And it's just I don't know. It just, in my mind, it sets this mood. It's ridiculous. It just transports me immediately to that place. It's just, I love this album so much. I can't tell you. Thanks for finding a
album art with so it's hard. It's hard to find the lyric insert. It's hard to find the scraps insert. They do come in.
Yeah.
It's damn near impossible.
I don't even have that one. I think that was on my wall. Poster. I think I taped it to my wall when I bought it, like 11-year-old me.
Dude, this is your parting gift from the drop for today. And
so cool.
I read about this. I did not find info about this online because I really wanted to know. I know that it was a big deal back in the 70s. Nobody even thought about it to have a custom label. Like your records had whatever the label was, and this one has
a custom label,
custom Captain Fantastic label. Like I can't pull that one. So, and I can't remember if anybody had that before. Holler at us and let us know. I'm sure that somebody had it beforehand, but this is easily the most high profile.
Yes.
Your own
artist.
custom label for the record.
So it doesn't say like Casablanca or any of those other 70s kind of labels that were
for that record. And
so in the artwork, this is one of those where I stared at this for a million years. Staring at this little teeny tiny thing, but it's very if you're familiar with like the really famous painting by Hieronymus Bosch of
and that's what
it's very much
inspired by.
It's very much
pulling everything in on.
Yeah, cool, man. There you go. If you haven't heard it,
essential listening. If you think you haven't heard it, you probably have.
You need to go listen to it. Go listen to it. You're gonna love it. Tower of Babel, man, what a great song. The story says, oh wow, Nice. She's liking that. Cool. All right.
So
Oh my God.
So we're going to talk about the American release, the American album, which I think everybody knows about this, but they might not know.
I've never seen this.
So this is the Beatles Yesterday and Today, which this is what the cover of this is called, the steamer trunk cover.
Okay.
And so when this was issued, actually, we're up on the anniversary of it. It was issued on June 20th, 1966. 57 years ago?
No, that was 60. No. 60. What? You said 66?
Uh-huh. So this is the
56 years ago.
56. There you go.
No, that's not right. Stop asking me to do math. I don't know what I'm doing. God.
People. So this is their 9th album for Capitol Records. What you need to know is the Beatles had no control over their what their repertoire was in the United States. So what the American record company
Explain.
Capitol, so the Beatles, their albums generally in the UK did not include the 7-inch singles.
Okay.
And they generally had 14 tracks on them. So for US release, Capitol, realizing they could sell a whole lot of 10-track albums,
sure,
they would slice and dice the records, create new album covers to make just 10-song albums, and then they would put the singles on the record. So this
genius and sinister.
Genius and sinister. The Beatles hated it.
Of course.
And they hated it.
So this is an American release.
This is an American exclusive release, and the content is pretty much half of Rubber Soul, and with the single, you get the We Can Work It Out and Day Tripper, which was only a single at the time. But here's the thing that was really kind of screwy. Capitol had already received the masters for Rubber Soul, and they put Revolver. They put 3 songs from Revolver on here before Revolver was even released.
Wow,
which really upset the Beatles management. But
God, that's
so what?
Nuts.
So what you need to know about this is when it was originally sent to radio stations, when it was sent to Critical. This was the original cover. It's called the Butcher cover. Now this is an original 1966 pressing. This one has been professionally peeled. If you have one of these, you would not want to try to do this yourself because you will destroy the artwork. When it was sent to radio programmers, it was deemed as offensive. And what it was, the photographer, Robert Whittaker, had taken this portrait of the Beatles as a statement in a protest of the Vietnam War.
Right.
And showing them with in butcher coats with dead babies and chunks of meat.
That'll ruffle some feathers.
Ruffled some feathers. So they recalled the
really?
Yeah. Back in '66.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
They banned it.
Yeah, that we were just talking about that.
They sent out 1,000, and I happened to be one that got it. I was a kid. I hadn't got it. I still got it.
That's amazing.
They banned it.
Yeah, for sure.
The next picture was their big old case.
Right.
And Paul's sitting in there, and there it is. Right there. There's yesterday.
Boom. See?
They changed the covers.
There you go.
So they retracted.
Spoken like a true Beatles fan.
They were trying to be like the Rolling Stones.
Sure.
That's all.
They all did a little bit.
They made a laugh of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
So they retracted the album cover.
Yeah.
They retracted. They recalled them all. But at this point, I don't think it was necessarily in storage yet. Well, some of the pressing plants that still had the original copies.
Right.
They actually, and this is one of them. They pasted over this cover over.
That's what you mean by it's been peeled.
It's been peeled.
See, now I know. God, you learned. You see, on this show, you learn stuff, folks. We're just sharing stuff with you so you can have knowledge.
And so we see. So both of these came in the store at different times. But you can tell. You can see where the glue is stuck all over this, and the cover's been taped together. This is.
Where do you find a professional peeler?
I don't know. There's a whole devoted to how to do that. If you decide to do that, I would not do that.
Did they use?
You want to leave it like. You want to leave it like this,
Paul.
If you have it, this is called second state. This is called third state, where it's peeled. The first state is that where it would have just come like that as brand new. You know what?
You might as well just do the rest of the vinyl vaults for the year.
Well, it's so rare. It is so rare that we get maybe 3 or 4 of these in the store a year, and we happen to have 2 at the same time, one peeled and one not peeled. And it really is one of the greatest curiosities.
That's incredible.
And record culture.
That's incredible.
And what everybody asks, well, how do I know if mine is? I'm looking at my
you can
copy.
Tell. You can glued on there.
You can tell that they call this a slick, this piece of glossy paper. And you can actually, if you look at the edges, you can tell that there's a second one.
That's crazy.
Glued on top of it. But otherwise, you have to like look down into the image to see if you can see where the image is, and there's really only one really tell, and that's where my finger is. You can kind of see Ringo's black turtleneck.
That's fantastic.
Through the original
That's
white
fantastic.
cover. But that's really the only way to, but usually
y'all just got schooled.
The ones that I find, you can usually tell that it is pasted over.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's two
that original nuts
butcher covers for you. And if you find one,
don't try to peel it and hold on to it, and don't
Easter egg record.
Don't do something dumb. We need animation for this. There should be like should be one of these.
Have a budget for that.
Yeah.
Solid.
That's a pain.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
Okay, it's my pick for the Vinyl Vault this week. I always try to pick something that you may or may not know about.
Yes.
And this is a pick that reminds you that everybody, no matter how big they were, no matter how hugely successful, popular pop culture icon, whatever you got, they all start as an indie recording artist.
Yeah. At least they used to.
At least they now it's SoundCloud or TikTok, baby. And I would think this would have been a big TikTok hit. This is the first ever Jackson 5 7-inch on Steeltown Records from Gary, Indiana.
Now you're just showing
This is the Jackson 5 Big Boy. The name of the track is actually I'm a Big Boy Now. There's Ruben.
Wow. Hello. Hi.
This is an incredibly hard to find record.
I've never seen such a thing.
I mean, they maybe made like 500 back in the day.
I've never seen such a thing.
And this is what got them on radio, got them noticed in Gary, Indiana on radio. Jumped out of the speakers, and people driving around in their cars.
We're like, what is it?
1968, the band plays all the instruments on the recording, and the 9-year-old Michael Jackson singing the track. It's still, it doesn't have the polish of their. Later that year, they signed with Motown. They made one more single for this label, but this is the thing that kicked it all off.
Is this for sale?
It is for sale
here at Cactus Music.
You got a hundo. You walk in and leave with the Michael Jackson single.
I'm not even going to put it in I'm just going to leave it right there because I don't want anything to happen to it.
But it's so. I just think
that's
it's important.
Fantastic.
It gives you a sense of that everybody has to start somewhere, and it's important to realize.
But that's what you. I mean, the very humble 45 RPM was like the first time like you recorded a song. Somebody was like, "Hey, kid, we're gonna press your,
when it's the record producer, when they book time for him. It's like the classic when you see in like Coal Miner's Daughter, where she goes in and she makes the record, and the producer's like, we're gonna get you better players, and we're gonna kick this up to DJs. It's totally
like you,
that
kid.
Vibe.
You got moxie.
Interesting footnote to this: the masters for this recording were thought lost forever, and they found them 25 years later, and it's now available
at the New York Public Library.
At the New York
God only knows what's in there.
Yeah, they're losing stuff.
We should make a phone call.
The Gary, Indiana Public Library. How much? Okay, it's my turn in the Vinyl Vault.
It is your turn.
It is my turn in the Vinyl Vault. And I have picked
this is so good.
I try to pick a kooky one and one that was influential to me.
Freaking awesome.
This is the Ruddles. Meet the
God.
And it's just the album simply called the Ruddles.
Explain this to everyone. So they're not going to know.
I know. 1978. This was the first. There have been many Beatles, and this was the first one. And it's a collaboration between Neil Innes, the great songwriter who wrote songs for the Bonzo Dog Band.
I've never seen this.
Was friends with the Beatles and the great Eric Idle from Monty Python. And they used to have a radio series in England called the Rutland Times. And they did a little bit that was a Beatles parody in it. And they discovered that was the most popular thing they did. So they started kind of conceiving of doing like a more expanded thing. Lorne Michael gets involved. They produced this mockumentary for NBC in 1978 called "All You Need Is Cash," play on "All You Need Is Love."
The
story of the Ruddles, and I can tell you as like a 11-year-old Beatles fan that had just kind of figured out the whole Beatles thing to watch this thing. And I was a Python fan. It was really one of the only things you watched.
Right.
And I loved the humor.
I think 12 when this came out.
And it so confused me. It was funny. It was so confusing.
You knew you were watching that, but I had this whole thing. It's like, did these guys really exist?
I know. Right. The same thing. And then there's like this.
Did I miss this?
It was the first time I'd ever seen like real music parody. And there's the pictures of the other fake album covers. But
amazing.
They had substitute the banana for the phallic banana for the apple.
Of course.
I mean, they thought of everything. It's so well done, but it was a huge flop. But I watched it and I was like, what the songs were great. I was singing, the songs afterwards.
The art direction, just what went into it, just the, they recreate.
Yeah, they created the sets and everything. So in the SNL cast is in this thing. You get Bill Murray, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd is in it.
This is fantastic.
And of course Lorne Michaels, but then you get some special guests. You got Mick Jagger, you got Ron Wood, and you got George Harrison. So the Beatles, what became anthology many years later, they were already working on that.
Right.
And George, who's good friends with both of those other guys, because George backed the Python films,
Of course.
And they had seen some of this Beatles footage and they just thought, oh, that's great. We'll just do some of that too. Supposedly McCartney didn't like it so much. He thought it was kind of too close to the songs were a little
right on the nose, a bit much right on the nose. Yeah.
And when it came out, the LP pack, the packaging here, there's like a whole book that flips down and look
at this.
Cavern Club, you got the early Beatles, you got the little suits. And Ricky Fitard that's in this, he was also in the touring version of the Beach Boys for a while.
Oh my God.
It's just absolute silliness. But like I'm saying, as an 11-year-old kid, I could not understand.
This is amazing.
How much of it was real and how much of it was fiction. Of course, it was all fiction. It was just a total rave up. But it's really fun. If you haven't seen I think the only way you can see this is on YouTube. But you can watch the documentary. It's only an hour.
Is that Muhammad Ali?
It's Muhammad Ali. They just they made it look like they're sitting with Muhammad, and that's pre-Photoshop.
Oh God,
that's pre-Photoshop.
This is brilliant. This is fantastic.
Yeah, they made it seem like they were the most popular band in the world.
Yes. Oh God, dude, good pick.
Yeah.
Final Vault, you win.
Ruddlemania is sweeping the nation. So, but if you love Beatles, the Beatles or Beatles parody, and younger person, you're not familiar with this. Ruddlemania is coming.
This is
coming to you
in some ways, almost like a precursor to like Spinal Tap, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. In fact,
I think rockumentary on this scale.
Yeah, and
because it was on television. It was like on.
Rob Reiner loved it.
And it was like on
something like that.
ABC on a Thursday night or something. I remember watching it as a kid. What the hell is this?
It was the lowest rated show on, and all the ratings that week. And supposedly the executives were like, "Why are we giving prime time to this show?" That
people got fired after this aired. The
1 a.m.
next day, people were fired when the ratings came out.
Yeah, but
that's fantastic.
It is ridiculous fun. So, this thing is now available as a deluxe reissue, so you can buy it in stores. God. I don't know if it's on CD, but it's on LP. Hold on, we got the song titles. The song titles are absolutely ridiculous. You get, instead of cheese and onions, ouch instead of help.
Right.
Let's see. Piggy in the middle. Let's be natural. I mean, it's just If you're a Beatles fan, this is so much fun, and you can move straight from this to the Utopia album, Deface the Music, where they're kind of doing the same thing. This inspired a bunch of Beatles parodies.
That's amazing. That's oh man, dude, that has been the most entertaining Vinyl Vault to date.
The mockumentary is as good or better than you remember. It's worth.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at it because now I'd probably just, in light of the big Apple TV or the big 3-hour Beatles or multiple.
This is much
9
easier
hour.
to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't finished that thing. It's just like eating one steak after another.
It's a lot.
Too much. It's a lot. Oh my God. Where are we on time? What have we done?